Ross, welcome. I'm going to give you the uh, hosting privileges and ask you to share your screen with us if you like, and take it away.
All right. Thank you, Caroline. Very excited to be here. Let me just get my screen shared for you guys. Can everybody see that okay?
Yes.
Awesome. All right. So just a brief introduction about myself. I'm Ross Cockerham, CEO and co-founder of Punchmark. And a little background on Punchmark. We've been building websites for retail jewelry stores since about 2008, 2009 with our proprietary website platform, Site Manager. And we built this specifically for the retail jewelry industry. So our approach is community driven in the sense that, it gives our clients a voice in helping us to shape the development of the latest platform features. And, being the leading website platform in the jewelry industry, it gives us a lot of insight as to what exactly went well in 2020. And, we're very happy that, despite a crazy and scary year, many of our clients did very well. And for everything that went right, we plan on repeating as much of that as possible going forward. So just to get into it a bit, the topics that we're going to cover today are what did 2020 teach us? Like, what did we actually learn? E-commerce preparation, some of the administrative and setup things that you'll need to put in place. Your content and product strategy. This is basically the meat of it, of what your website is and your whole digital presence. And then your digital marketing strategy, like putting your foot on the gas pedal to actually get traffic and conversions. Finally, we're going to talk about moving forward to 2021 and what that means, and how to replicate what we did in 2020 without the pandemic part, right? So, so moving on to what did 2020 teach us? So before I get into this, I just want to address, there are people who have a big fear that, online is this big monster that's just going to take over, right? The good news is that evidence shows that brick and mortar is here to stay. And I say that because, millennials and Gen Z shoppers, they want to have experiences. And when shopping, they respond very well to the in-store experience in general. So what I'm discussing today is intended to give your store the tools needed to keep your business thriving in the midst of a recession or, God forbid, another pandemic, or no matter what happens, to have that special online presence working for you to complement your brick and mortar approach. So what did we learn from 2020? Well, the answer is the e-commerce boom is officially here. It started off with consumers who relied on e-commerce to make important purchases from everything from household items to even groceries. In March 2020 alone, 42% of the US population bought groceries online, 42%. So, I mean, obviously that was March. That was when things got crazy. But that's nearly double the 22% that was in 2018. So now an estimated 1.8 billion people worldwide purchase goods online, and 62% of those online buyers shop at least once per month. So this is great news for, the online world, and especially considering that jewelry is one of the slower industries to catch up. Aside from actual shopping, 63% of shopping occasions begin online. So this is people who are, scoping you out. People think that the store awning and the nice plush carpet and the mahogany showcases and the beautiful halogen lighting, you think that might be the first impression that people get of you. And that would be great. But the reality is they look at your website first. They look at your reviews. They look at, your entire digital presence before going into your store. So as far as e-commerce sales, they shot up 30% in 2020, just over $4 trillion in sales. And at the same time, that retail sales worldwide declined by 3%. So this is due to people not being, stores not being accessible and people not being able to go inside stores. But experts also anticipate another 14% growth this year to approach the 4.5 or 5 trillion mark, which is just crazy considering that this is so much. I think it's quintupled in the last 10 years, or at least tripled. And as far as jewelry sales, online jewelry revenues soared 66% in November and December 2020 compared to the same period of the previous year, according to Rappaport. And during that 5-day period between Thanksgiving and Cyber Monday, online sales were 34.4 billion, which is up 21% in the same period in 2019. And Punchmark's client statistics mirror even more growth than that. I mean, we had a 578% increase in customer sales in actual numbers, 510% increase in customer orders, how many transactions, 14.9% increase in the average transaction amount, and 42% increase in customer sales over the Black Friday 2019, before, the year before. So the numbers look good. And I wanted to share all those numbers because, this is very telling of where we are right now, and what we can do to ensure, 10 years ago, as a website company, we would tell people, you need a website. and we thought it was obvious, but not everyone had a website. Now it's a lot more than that. That's obviously what everyone needs, but it's a lot more than that. You need a website and X, Y, Z, A, B, C, every single other step, right? So that's what we're going to get into today. And starting with some e-commerce preparation. Now, these are the core level, the high level administrative and decision-making aspects of getting prepared for e-commerce. Because, before you put your foot on the pedal, you need to ensure that your website has all the necessary components in place, right? Let's say you had a landing page and that's all you had and no way to sell online, or just a poor shopping experience, or you just didn't have any conversions or ways to contact you. You wouldn't want to spend $1,000 a month in an ad campaign to go to that website if it's ineffective. So I'm not going to get too deep into the administrative stuff here. But we do have an e-commerce checklist that we can send you, and it outlines every step, such as setting up your authorized.net account, connecting your point of sale system to your website, setting up all your payment methods, setting up ClearSale for fraud detection, Sezzle or Affirm for financing. All those steps we have outlined in a full document. If you want a copy of this checklist, feel free to send an email to marketing@punchmark.com. We'll be happy to just shoot that over for you. But I'll avoid getting through all the steps today just to not get too, verbose in the approach here. Let's get back to here. And the first thing you want to do is to find the right social media channels and outlets that consist of the core demographics that you want to actually support your business, right? So think about, are you trying to appeal to the older crowd? And if so, then TikTok and Snapchat aren't the right outlets for that. So just be cognizant of that. Think about your social channels and how you approach those. And now think about your strategy on these audiences themselves and who you want to appeal to. How do you want to connect these demographics to certain product categories? So, this will help you when you get to the product and content decisions, when we get to that step today, and it'll help you validate the effectiveness of each audience. You'll be able to segment these and be able to hit each demographic with a certain message and product. They say reputation is everything, right? And, so do all that you can to get positive reviews, as these not only have a high impact on user credibility, but they also affect your SEO as well. And we've partnered up with Podium for this reason. And we know that people who use their service have more 5-star reviews than any of their competitors. And that makes a huge difference and goes a long way for those who are trying to appraise whether to give you their $5,000, $10,000 for an engagement ring. Also, you want to use a web chat to strengthen your accessibility. This shows that you're available. It shows that you care about your potential customers. It can also provide, just enough assistance and nudging, right? And that additional level of trust for someone to actually complete the checkout process. So someone might ask even, hey, what are my chances of actually being approved for financing? And how does that even work? That whole complicated thing might be something that's just preventing someone from shopping. You say, oh, it's easy. Just apply here and we'll take care of the rest. Or, hey, do you happen to have these same earrings in platinum or yellow gold? And those answers like, oh yeah, absolutely. Let me actually, it's not on our website, but I could ship them to you. So very important to have that web chat. And next, make sure you have all the proper tracking codes in place for Facebook and Google. And the reason why I listed this out is because it'll come in handy later for when you actually retarget to people. You also want to create a Facebook and Instagram catalog. It's all one and the same. So this will come very much in handy later. And it's very important to have. So if you need to set this up, there are a few steps that you need to take. And we wrote a blog with all the instructions on it. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to paste this blog right into the chat window. Give me 1 second. And there we go. So there's a few instructions right there for you on how to set that up. And that is one administrative step that I strongly encourage you to do because it's not too complex. And once you get it going, you can use these products for what we call dynamic product ads. And if anyone's watching a recording of this presentation and didn't get my link sent in the chat, like I said before, shoot an email over to marketing@punchmark.com and we'll send you over those instructions. So next, your content and product strategy. So this is where all the magic happens, right? This is the place where you could be most creative, show your brand's personality, do your best work here, and the rest will just fall into place. First thing you want to do is set up the right mix of products at the right price points. So as I said before, last year in Punchmark's platform, to use that data as an example, the average transaction amount was $312. And this was up 14.9% from the year prior. So think about that as obviously most of you, I would imagine, don't have an average an average retail amount of $312 in your store, right? It's much higher than that for the most part. So I would strongly encourage you to segment these price points if you can. So think about gifts under $1,000, $500, gifts under $250, under $100, gifts under $50 even, if you're so inclined. If you have small, charms and beads and other gifts, if you do happen to have these smaller gift items. And you think about this, when just putting in perspective, when guys shop, we're very utilitarian, right? Especially when it's the last minute and we're in a rush. It's like, look, show me something in this price range and I'll make a decision on that. It really helps. So next, you want to take great photos and videos, if you can, of your products. So the lowest hanging fruit here is to utilize vendor supplied photography when possible. So this is obviously a really big layup for you, that where if the vendors have spent hundreds of thousands of dollars photographing their stuff, use that. If you have your Edge point of sale or whatever point of sale system hooked up to your website, just grab a bunch of photos, drag them into your point of sale system so that they can be represented on your website. For everything else, obviously, custom jewelry, estate jewelry, you don't have vendors to shoot those for you. So, get the gem light box or a similar product if there is one available. We partnered with the fellows over at Pickup Media, great group of people, and they have a great product. It's a very easy way and efficient way to get quick and high quality photos and videos, even 360-degree videos of your product, and get them into your website as quickly as possible. To take place of, those old school, clunky light boxes with, you have like an SLR digital camera, and then you have to convert it and bring it into Photoshop and all these things. You're not a design major, you don't have to go to that kind of length to get a shot. Using your smartphone and bringing it into your system should be, a few clicks. So they also Pickup Media. They also have a few articles on, how to take great shots. So, if you'd like a link to those tips, again, shoot us an email, marketing@punchmark.com, and we'll send that link over to you. They do have some great tips on how to actually represent your jewelry. And last but not least, as far as the products are concerned, the shots, think about taking model shots. For any women in here, right? Would you buy a dress online without seeing it on someone? What about sunglasses, right? You looking at like how much of the sunglass covers your face, how big they are. You need to see it on a model for certain fashion goods. For men, right? Would you buy a sport jacket, or a blazer without seeing it on someone, or just look at the physical cloth and know that it's going to fit well? So, if you have the capacity to take shots of jewelry on someone in your store, an employee, yourself, a family member, a customer, just it can really go a long way to add that second or third shot on a human being. Next, you want to write some product descriptions that build trust and optimize them with certain keywords. So there are 6 points generally in every product description that you want to cover. You have the brand, the gender, the metal type, the gemstone, the style, and the actual jewelry type itself. So as an example of all 6, you could say something like Tacori ladies white gold diamond bangle bracelet. Now, imagine someone searching for a keyword bangle, right? And all you have for that description is ladies bracelet. You might miss out on that traffic, right? Every keyword you add in the description is a potential vehicle to get someone to go from a search engine to your website. It's like think about like a red carpet right into your store, just because you took 5 extra seconds, 30 extra seconds, writing that extra description. So that's the robotic part of it. That's what Google and search engines are going to look for, those keywords. But the human part of it is equally important. You want to compel someone to want to buy this bracelet. So think about making it fun, lighthearted. Think about occasions that it can be worn at, right? So get into that a little bit. And it could you could develop a system of how you write these using words like stunning and elaborative and decorative or whatever you want to use. But there's that balance between robotic, meaning you want to hit the search engines, and the human aspect, and making something fun and making people, want to actually buy something based on that description. I see things coming through in the chat. I'm going to avoid answering questions now. I'll refer to them at the end of this presentation, if that's okay. Next, you want to create unique and keyword-rich content on your entire website, all throughout your website. And don't be afraid to show some personality here. This is going to be your long game. So when it comes to SEO, search engine optimization, you won't see an immediate return on this. You won't, be able to just write a blog article and then the next day you get, 30 people going to that blog article because they searched the keywords in it. It doesn't happen like that. Google usually takes, they say roughly 2 weeks, but sometimes it's longer, sometimes it's less. It depends on, how often Google, spiders your website, what kind of sitemap you have, how you submit your sitemap to Google Webmaster Tools, all these other technical things. But usually it's a natural course of action. Google will eventually scrape that content, and you want to wait a little bit for that to actually let you surface up the rankings for those keywords. So there's also, when you have your keyword strategy immersed throughout the content on your website, you also have a sort of challenge between your large city stores versus the suburbs and rural communities. The large city stores, it's a really hard win, to try to go head to head with people on an SEO basis. The stores have done well, have taken 5-10 years to get there on that ranking. And everything else is paid ads. I mean, with large cities, it's all about the paid ads, being very aggressive there. And the SEO game is really difficult. So I wouldn't say avoid playing that game if you're in a large city. I would just say, don't expect an immediate return, right? Is the takeaway from that. But, don't be afraid to show personality here. It's when in your content, it's literally what sets you apart. and gives you people a human reason to buy from you and not the other person, right? It's like if you look at two stores next to each other, and they both have copied the same marketing text from the same vendors that they carry. It's like, whoa, which one do I go to? I guess the one that takes better pictures, or, the decision becomes tough. Unless you actually set yourself apart, then it's like, I love this company. Like, I like these guys, you want to just put yourself out there and be likable. Find out reasons on why you got in this business in the first place. Find your passion in that regard, and really hone in on that, and make sure you write about that kind of stuff. And your content strategy also trickles over onto what you post on social media. So there's so many things you could post on social media. I won't get into all of them, but maybe one way is to choose a product every single day and photograph it and video it, and talk about how excited you are about this one bracelet or this one pendant and why it's so great and what occasions it could be worn on. It's great for the woman who is self-empowered and all kinds of stuff. Maybe highlight local couples who just got married and who just purchased their rings from you. Talk about how excited you are that they're starting their life together. Get personal. Talk about what you're doing in the community, right? Do all these things. By the way, it's funny. There's a story that I want to share with you guys this morning. In a podcast I was listening to, I happened to listen to something that was just pretty cool. Tiffany & Co., as we all know, big brand. They've been in, New York City since I think like 1837 or something. And in 1877, the NYPD commissioned them to make a badge to honor a police officer that was shot in the line of duty. And just above the badge was an interlocking N and Y. And that N and Y eventually became the logo for the New York Yankees, which is crazy. And it's now on every hat in the world, and people who aren't even Yankees fans. The moral of the story here is, do stuff in your community and it can turn into something pretty big. Who knows? I mean, you might just make the logo for your local Major League Baseball team. No, but seriously though, millennials and Gen Z, they buy from people who are involved in the community. They like that. They like the personal touch. So whatever you do on social media, whatever you do in your content, have fun with it and make it your own. And you might want to potentially hire someone to help you generate all this content. So, the bottom line, like, you're not a journalist, you run a jewelry store, right? Or who knows, you might be a journalist, but either way, you have a jewelry store to run, and having someone to help you, whether internal or hiring an agency, it lets you keep up with your daily operations, knowing that you have a stream of content being spoken in your brand's voice on a regular basis. It's such a luxury. It's such a great thing. Personally, one of our employees here, our director of user experience, Mike Burpo, he does all of our podcasts. He writes a lot of content. He helps organize the live stream webinars we do every single week for our clients. And I don't have to do it as an owner. It's such a great feeling. It's liberating knowing that Punchmark's content is just in a constant stream out there, and I'm not the one who has to handle it, right? So as store owners, I know we all want to roll up our sleeves and do everything, but let's face it, we need help. So hire someone to help you out with that content, or hire a local agency. Punchmark can do it, as a digital agency. We do it for some of our clients and write content. But that's the takeaway, is just don't let yourself get overwhelmed in that regard. Next, you want to create eye-catching landing pages. Now, landing pages can be so much for your store. You could highlight key product styles and give customers a starting point instead of just throwing them into a category where they start filtering and sorting. And in addition to making it easy for customers to find products, these are also fantastic for SEO, for optimizing those keywords. So I want to share an example with you. I'm just going to show you this window here. So here's a landing page that we created for a client called the Valentine's Day Gift Guide, right? So it has all the essentials in it. It has all the price points that you can click on. It has the ability to shop by brand and get right into these brand products. and shop by category. You have necklaces, you have rings, right? So very enticing and easy way and a fun way to bring people into these categories, and by showing them a little piece of a recommendation, right, of what you might want to offer, and also showing some financing options at the bottom of it, right? So that's something that I highly recommend, creating that kind of content. It's very important because it goes a long way and people are used to just jumping right into the products. But all the big brands out there who do it well, they have landing pages. Think about it as you have 10,000 products. Where do you start? If someone walks in your store, do you just throw 10,000 products in their face and say, "Good luck, sort through this and tell me if you need any help"? Obviously, your sales associate sits there and talks to them and says, "So tell me about, what do you want to buy? Is this something for yourself or a gift for someone else? Tell me about that person. What do they usually wear?" You want to do this on your website too. I mean, it's pretty straightforward, and when you do the work, it really pays off. And after creating these landing pages, start thinking about which of your ads will actually link to, and make adjustments accordingly, right? So before you get into your digital marketing strategy, start thinking about it. What are you going to link to these pages? Map out the most ideal website flow to maximize your conversion rates. Think about how you want your customers to find products from these landing pages. If you don't have all those categories, don't list all those categories. Simplify it. For example, like let's say you have all these price categories listed, but then you go and click on the under $100 category and there are only 2 products in it. You don't want to be that limiting. So maybe eliminate that category or that sort of click through. And last but not least, as far as the curation of things, create curated categories like gifts for her, that help customers easily find the products that they're looking for, and change out these categories pretty often as possible. Good online shopping is all based on reducing the number of decisions that someone has to make. Think about it. Most guys walk into a jewelry store and maybe one of your store clerks says, "What type of jewelry does she normally wear?" And, these are difficult questions for guys. They'd be like, "I don't know, what do most women her age wear?" Or you might respond by saying, "Okay, what's her style?" And that's a slightly better question. But, having curated categories like Valentine's Day gift ideas, it makes it much easier for people to pick out a gift, and your visitors won't need to make too many decisions, right? You want to also think about creating free shipping thresholds. So offer free shipping wherever possible. We're in this free shipping Amazon era, and customers expect it now. So just imagine buying something for $5,000 and then to find out shipping is $22. And then you just like, imagine that. Imagine losing a sale because shipping was $22. In 2019, 63% of cart abandonments were due to extra cost for shipping. So just something to think about. And think about your specials and your coupon code strategy too. Are there a group of products that you haven't moved in a long time that are sitting there for 300 days you want to put on sale or clearance? Will there be certain times throughout the year that you can strategically have a sale, like August when there's no holidays or anything? How do you approach that? And think about homepage banners, your pop-ups, your announcements across the top of your website. These are great ways to show your current and upcoming sales. You can even display your coupon codes right on your homepage. And pop-ups can be a great way to not only capture email addresses, but you can also promote your coupon codes there, or even, as most people do, have a coupon code sent as soon as someone enters their email address, like as a reward. Send your email address and we'll send you this 10% off your first purchase or 25% off. So that's basically your content strategy in a nutshell. I could have gotten into more, but to not completely get into that too deeply. But next on to your marketing, your digital marketing strategy. If you look at your content being the wood, this is like the fuel for the fire, right? This is, you put your foot on the gas And as I said in the beginning, don't forget that without the good content there, your ads won't be nearly as effective. You have what's called CTR, your click-through rate. You want to make sure that your click-through rate is as high as possible, because even your ads, the relevance of your ads are shown more when you get a higher click-through rate. So you want to make sure if you're doing gifts for her and someone clicks on it and it goes to like watches, that's not an effective ad, nor is it relevant to the actual material. So make sure it's very relevant to what you're actually advertising. And when it comes to Google ads, you'll want to segment your audiences into groups, by age, gender, geography, and present separate messaging and different products to each audience. So, for example, you wouldn't market engagement rings to 65-year-old women. And just think about which customers buy which products and start there. You might have a certain product that has a very high GM ROI in your point of sale system, and you pull up reports or from a vendor. Start there. Start from that point and think about how to market that. Don't just try to go outbid the players in your market on the main categories, like engagement rings, New York City. That's a really hard game to win there if you're trying to bid on a pay-per-click level. So you want to set up your multiple campaigns and then constantly adjust and optimize each campaign accordingly. So for the ones that are effective and the ones that are actually producing conversions for you, invest more incrementally in those ads on a month-to-month basis. And then for the ads that aren't effective and you're getting no traction, then shift that money to other campaigns or to the campaigns that are working. And you'll want to allocate maybe 10 to 20% of your ad spend for experimental purposes. Keep trying new things, but don't move too far from your core on what's actually working for you in your core product. And the same goes for your social ads. There's so much that you can customize, and you can really get lost in that campaign manager with all the tools they have there. So, just try to keep your ads consistent unless you have certain audiences that you can reach in one platform that you can't in another. Like Facebook lets you actually set up custom audiences and lookalike audiences. You can even target everyone who likes a brand that might be similar to some of the products you sell. Could be a fashion brand like Louis Vuitton or something, and that just really works well with David Yurman or Alex Sepkus or some kind of brand that you carry that you feel is similar to someone who likes that kind of accessory. And in the preparation page, we talked about setting up your Facebook catalog. Now, if that's set up properly, you can now run dynamic product ads and retarget specific products to specific customers. So, for example, if someone views an item or adds an item to their cart or wish list, you can market that exact item that they chose when they're scrolling on Facebook and Instagram. It's similar to, you look at travel sites that have been doing this for years, like Expedia. It doesn't say, hey, come back to Expedia and continue booking your vacation. It says, hey, how about that Hawaii trip that you looked up? You're like, wait, how did they know, that they're tracking me around the web and they knew that I was looking at Hawaii? So that's a dynamic product ad targeting your specific preference in another arena altogether, pulling you right back into where you were. Next, you want to think about using email marketing and text messaging to reach specific customers with your personalized messaging. So you want to segment these audiences in the same way as your paid advertising. Retarget to, you hit people with a different message and they're more likely to convert, based on that message, right? If you hit everyone with the same message about engagement rings, that, 65-year-old woman we were talking about, it just went right over her head. Of course, it might help, obviously, in some ways to know, oh, okay, this store carries engagement rings. A store that carries engagement rings can also probably carry other fine jewelry that I would find. But for someone to make that implication is a stretch, because, we as jewelers, a lot of times that does happen because you figure that you're known as the bridal store and people will buy other things as well. But don't forget the reverse, okay? Don't forget the reverse that happens. Sell the small gifts. People who have 1,000 transactions of Pandora items, that hard work eventually pays off for when someone's actually getting married and then they actually purchase an engagement ring. So think about that as how you segment your audience, how you reach them via email marketing, what products you put in those emails, how your messaging, goes through, and what kind of sales and specials you have as well. And then, retargeting, obviously, your customers, anyone who's visited your website or interacted with your social media content, those Facebook pixels that you set up originally will come in handy. And last but not least, for the marketing side, stay present and ever changing, with special sales and event ideas. Even create customer specific coupon codes if you need to. Like make a coupon code for someone's phone number, right? And have that sent to them. Think about that personalized touch, and it could give someone enough motivation to find a product and buy it, even without an upcoming birthday or anniversary or holiday, right? So think about that kind of, respect, and when you do actually market, via email or text. So moving forward to 2021, let's look at 2020 and what worked for all clients, all Punchmark clients. Every single Punchmark client who sold over 100,000 online did the following. They had a great design with consistent branding across the board. They had specialized landing pages to help visitors find products. They had curated categories for gift suggestions. They ran paid ads via Google and social media. They had a digital marketing budget to create good organic content. They utilized Facebook and Instagram catalog for dynamic product ads. They utilized email marketing to stay on the tops of customers' inboxes. They had fraud detection and some sort of financing options in place. They had multiple checkout options in addition to just accepting credit cards. And last but not least, they connected the point of sale system to their website with bidirectional integration. So I think that says a lot. The fact that the folks that were doing the best and the most, over 100K, had all those boxes checked. So just think about that. Think about there is a lot of work that goes into it. So if you can't handle it in-house, if you don't have that dedicated guy or gal to help you out, hire a digital agency to help you with those kinds of things. Punchmark is one of those agencies, but there are other ones out there too. There are people local to your business as well. So just think about how you're going to actually create the most leverage there. And going forward to 2021, with these kinds of numbers and stats, normally in January, e-commerce transactions subside. They kind of go down a little bit, but we've already seen a large uptick already from last year. And we do believe that the e-commerce boom is finally here. So we've seen an 894% increase in sales volume just from January 1 to January 20, an 800% increase in average amount per client, 321% increase of the number of transactions, and 136% increase in the average amount per order, from $186 average to $439 for January. I'm talking about just these last 3 weeks. So that's pretty promising, considering that we came from a year where e-commerce was, essential and necessary. And we're going into a new year that, granted, we're still, the dust hasn't settled yet, right? We're still, some stores are still closed. We have these crazy, ordinances happening out there. But, bottom line, we're seeing these trends stick around. And it's not just because of the, holiday season. So very happy about that. And we're going to do all we can to keep that momentum going for our customers. So thank you, everybody, for listening to me rattle off about that. And we're going to open up the floor for a question and answer. If you guys want to use the chat, feel free to use the chat window to ask questions. I'm going to go back. I did see a few questions earlier, and I'm going to start there. In the meantime, feel free to continue asking any other questions you guys might have. So going back, so someone asked, should those keywords, when I was talking about those 6 points of those important keywords, should they be in the title or the description? And I think they should be a combination of both. If you can keep your title to roughly 60 characters, and your description to about 150 characters. Sorry, these are meta keywords, meta description. Those are common for what Google is going to actually use for your meta description and for the page title if you don't have a separate page title. So this is sort of the shortcut if you don't want to do the extra work. And for by description, I say at least 150 characters. So you'll want to repeat those same words in both the title and the description, but both are equally relevant. In fact, the page title, I would argue, is slightly more relevant because you have fewer keywords that you're actually using. And Google sees those fewer keywords as these are the power keywords for this page. And so you can also go as far as creating a separate page title from the actual product title using the meta information. So if you have the Edge point of sale system and you're connected to a Punchmark website, you can go on the website tab right in the Edge and type in your meta description and meta title. So it solves a step by doing it, copying and pasting and maybe altering a little bit. But if you don't paste something right into the page title, the actual meta title, then your Punchmark website at least will replace it with your actual product title. And most website platforms will do that as well. Thank you, Diane, for that question. And Marianne asked, in terms of landing pages, should the content be mainly visual rather than with lots of words, such as including paragraphs and sections showing off all the decisions surrounding the purchase of an ideal engagement ring? Or is it better to link to those wordy content info, keeping the landing page mainly visual? So very good question, Marianne. I would say it's a combination. It's a hybrid. What you don't want to do is, like I said, you have the balance between robotic and human, right? So you want to satisfy the robots, but also satisfy the humans. So if you wrote a whole slew of content and said engagement ring, halo engagement ring, cathedral style engagement ring, vintage engagement ring, then that's not a human written page, obviously. So that's an example of just kind of going crazy with it. But if you had a very wordy block of content, most people get this little bit of anxiety when they look at a block of content like that and just don't read any of it, or they skim very quickly. So try to be light. I would say if you do have more information about a certain piece, you can link to other educational resources like the 4 C's of Diamonds, or another buying guide, or a blog about a specific piece, or a metal in general, like all information about platinum, and link outward and use hyperlinks to get to those other pieces if people really want that. And then Google actually helps for your keyword strategy, because you can actually, Google tracks through and links through from all those actual hyperlinks. So Cameron asked, what do most of your customers use, WordPress or Shopify? We currently use WordPress, but in many of these webinars, people seem to be using Shopify. So great question, Cameron. Just so you know, every single Punchmark client uses Punchmark's proprietary website platform that was built specifically for the jewelry industry. So we wanted our clients to have to not be limited by those small limitations that happen on the generic website platforms. Shopify, I'd say, is the most popular of the generic ones. By generic, I mean you could sell anything from t-shirts to iPads, and by the way, you can also sell jewelry, right? So it works. It works well, in fact, if people do it right. But that's the difference with our platform and with these other generic platforms. So Shopify, I would say, is the stronger one. WordPress becomes a little bit clunky sometimes, slow loading. Shopify is also pretty slow as far as the page loading. Page speed is really big for us, so we really want to make sure that we're hitting that for our customers. But I would suggest Shopify if you're going with one of the generic platforms. Our Facebook catalog is different than Facebook Shops. And those are basically, I think the shops were, if you're referring to those Facebook shops, I think they're different. Facebook shops, I think, are a different way of, but I'd have to check because those are, um, if I remember 4 or 5 years ago, people were going crazy with those Facebook shops, and then they kind of lost a lot of steam. So Abraham, I'd have to check into that for you, but I'm pretty sure they're different. Your Facebook catalog is something that you set up so that you have all your products on there that can be utilized for your advertising. And Ralph asked, what are some good interest to target for Facebook ads? Not sure if I understand this question. Some good interest. I'm not sure if I understand that. Oh, jewelry. I mean, I would say, if you're targeting your Facebook ads, oh, interest, I got you. So like when you're actually creating your campaigns, this is a very long and sort of long-winded approach of how to find your audience. I would say if you're looking for interest, you would look for like fashion, jewelry, and if you could actually target the brands, try to find people who actually like the brands that you carry or brands that your competitors carry, and start there, just to get deeper into that, and any other fashion things regarding people who typically are very fashionable and buy, high fashion goods like, purses, Coach, whatever. They also typically buy fashion jewelry as well. So you might want to find those types of behaviors, people who are on the same kind of behavior. I am not the expert in that as far as finding the actual audience, but there's so many different things you can do down that avenue. Katie Kinlaw, our digital marketing manager, is the one who really dives deep into finding out what to post, how to post, how to boost the post, how to categorize your demographic in the perfect way. And so if you ever want a consult on that, you could use that same email address, marketing@punchmark.com. Just shoot us an email and just say, hey, I watched the presentation. I'd like some more information on how to target people through Instagram and Facebook. So Marianne asked about landing page content, link outward, but with content still living within our own website, correct? Yes. So you don't want to link to other outside pages. A mistake that a lot of retailers made in the past, which I'm glad that a lot of retailers are not making anymore, is we're going to show, like, here's A Jaffe, go to ajaffe.com to see all their stuff. And what would happen is, for some vendors, people would click on that, go to the other vendor, and then go find a retailer and then type in their zip code, and then they find your competitor down the street, which is crazy. So you literally just, like, there you go, right to your competitor. So definitely link within your website. It's all about that comprehensive web of links inside your website to get them to your products. Cameron said, you mentioned bi-directional integration with POS. Does your website platform bi-directionally connect with the edge? This is a major issue we deal with for inventory management. Yes, we connect bi-directionally. However, as of today, not with product content. So the edge is, the idea of our integration is that we want to make sure that our jewelry stores can operate on a normal day-to-day basis, adding inventory, updating inventory, prices, images, etc. And the website listens into those changes. So that's how it goes unidirectional. Now, coming back, we have, and also repairs jobs go up to the website as well. Now, when it comes to the bi-directional side, this includes customers and their wish list as well. So the idea is that we're creating an omni-channel solution that mimics and mirrors the same experience that you have in store, you have on the website. So if a guy comes into your store, adds 3 items to a wish list, goes home, logs in on the website, adds 4 more items, comes back in the store, he's going to have 7 items in his wish list, and it's going to be like no difference, right? So that's the idea. Being able to actually know anniversaries, birthdays, helps you market these wish lists in a much more conducive way to the online shopping aspect. So when it comes to, you mentioned this is a major issue that you deal with for inventory management. So I would not, I just want to mention that it doesn't cover, actual products. It doesn't, the bi-directionality doesn't go back into the edge and update your products there. So if that helps, but if you need any more information on that, feel free to shoot us a line and we can get more in depth on how that works.